Everybody, thank you for being so patient and so engaged in when I'm talking about fasting. And I promised you guys I was going to make a video on the 6 different ways to fast. There's probably more, but these are the ones that I have learned and ones that are real fast, that real people are doing and getting some actionable data, some real results from. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Thank you for your patience, and I hope you guys try it because it's natural to our body to tap into the ketones, allowing us to stop using sugar and things that break down into sugar in our body, and tapping into our natural food storages, right? As I mentioned before, we have a storage phase, which is what we're used to. We go to the fridge and we eat all willy-nilly and all day, and we get fat. You get people who are skinny like me, and you look to the side, and they look like a pregnant woman, right? It's insane. That's inflammation, that's swelling in the body, and that's not right. But that's not to say we can't use that. We have a burning phase we can tap into, right? And all it takes is free knowledge that we can use for free, no costs, and we just need to have self-power enough to start learning how to use that energy fuel and tap into it and allow our body to use ketones from that stored fat and really get into that burning phase. You can feel it. I hope you guys feel the energy. I'm through the roof right now. I've minimal sleep, more energy than I've ever felt. Every year that I fast to set my body straight again, it gets better and better. And when I hit ketosis, I felt it yesterday, and it's just insane, the amount of energy. So here we go. Number 1, the simple fast. It's really the best way to start, guys. Unless you're pregnant or unless you're an infant, this is the best way to start and start getting introduced to the benefits and the qualities of fasting. Okay, so simple fast really is that simple. It's going to do 12 hours on, 12 hours off of those 2 cycles, that burning and that storage phase. So if we're going to eat from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., then we're going to have nothing until the next day at 7. And it's simple. And what's cool is you can kind of hack this because you can sleep off most of that. And so when we think of breakfast, split the 2 words apart. Break, fast. We're literally breaking our fast. And so when we start thinking of things like that, it really is simple. So start there, guys. Number 2, called the Brunch Fast. And I think it's really appreciable that we can start to see the progression of fasting here. And it's because instead of 12 hours, we're going to do 14 hours. And for simplicity's sake, if we stop that meal at 7 p.m., instead of going till 7 a.m. the next day, just 9 a.m. Push it back 2 hours. That's why it's called the Brunch Fast. Super simple. Add 2 extra hours, and we're going to add 2 extra hours of benefits and energy and the allowance of metabolism in our body, and the correct way to do it. Number 3, it's called the cycle fast. Now, guys, this is another progression. We're going to do this once you guys are used to this and assimilated to the 2 types of fasting, and you're progressing. We're going to go right into the cycle fast. So there's 16-hour fasts, and we're going to do it 3 times a week, up to 3 times a week. So we'll just say a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday, and then you can, have the weekends off to recoup. So same thing. Start at that 7 p.m. Have your last meal by then, and that's when your time starts. And we're not going to eat again all the way until the next morning at 11 a.m. So 16-hour fast, cycle fasting, because we're cycling a few times a week. All right, here's another one. It's called the strong fast. And what we're going to do in the strong fast is we're only going to consume all of our meals. Say you eat 2 meals a day, we're going to pack them all into a 6 or an 8-hour period. And that allows a longer time for fasting on both sides of that. So for simplicity's sake, let's say you're going to consume those 2 meals within a time frame of 12 noon to 6 or 12 to 8, whichever you're more comfortable with. And it might be a 7-hour. Anywhere from that 6 to 8-hour range is really good and really beneficial. And then the rest of the time, boom. So you can move that. If you guys work different shifts, like we have shift work at most jobs, and at hospitals we have that too. So if you guys work a midnight shift, say it's, I'm not even going to do the math correctly, so forgive me. So say it's 8 p.m. all the way till 3 a.m. That actually might be right. And then, so for the rest of the time, it's going to be another part of that fast, so it's going to be a strong fast. So the last type of fast is called the warrior fast. And typically, I like comparing who we are as a species to who we were back then, right? So the warriors would march all day, and then they would come home and feast at night. So it's just a little bit more condensed version of the previous, the strong fast, in the sense that we're going to fast all day, and then we're going to consume those meals within a 3 to 5 hour period this time. And it's really cool because you can pack all that food within that 3 to 5. So say it's 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. and then, or 7 p.m. and then what you do is just fast the rest of the time. I know I just called the last one the type of fast. That was actually number 5. This is number 6 and the last one. And this is just called the 1-day food fast. It's not even food. And it is a food fast in the sense that we're not having any food. So for one whole day, for one whole 24-hour period, we're going to have only fluids. So water. Some people like some sort of bone broth or some soup, but a broth that's made. We're going to have herbal teas. And one last thing that we can use are our green powders to keep us packed with nutrients. It's kind of a little hack. And what's good about today with modern science is we can pack nutrients into a couple scoops of protein and some greens, and we can digest that and have that as our liquid energy. And our body loves liquids. The body's going to absorb it all day and super quick and almost have no waste from it too. So it's really cool. Low inflammation. And we're going to get packed nutrients and still get the great benefits of fasting. Now, fasting isn't just easy. There are some challenges, and the 2 biggest ones are constipation and adrenal fatigue. So when we start fasting, know that you need to have your blood sugar stable. If you know how to feel your body and know if you have normal blood sugar, I'm a good example of that as opposed to some family members of mine who are diabetic. So if you guys are going to start fasting, yes, you're going to have that couple of days of wigging out, and that's your body regulating. So I know people who are diabetic who say that they can't fast, and it gets in the way of their medicine, but it's the actual opposite. So if we start supplementing those foods, we're going to go to fat, the good fat, the oils, the avocado, the nuts, the walnuts. That's pure brain food. It even looks like the brain, right? And those good fats are going to allow us to start stabilizing the blood sugar for long periods of time. And so it's really going to start helping us benefit while we fast and start to reduce the amount of dependency on insulin that our body is used to from being in a constant storage stage, right? Because that's a huge factor when it comes to diabetes, is we don't allow our bodies to purge, we don't allow our bodies to cleanse and to burn off natural stores of energy. And so we create this cycle, and it kind of goes out of whack on its own. So first challenge, like I said, constipation. Guys, we need to stay super hydrated. Hydration with both teas and purified water is going to help the bowels. It's going to allow us to have swelling of our intestines and get toxins moving, because when we are fasting, our body's detoxing and it's super heavy. And so it's clearing out all that stuff that our body is holding on to for all this time. So if we're not going to the bathroom, our body's still going to be holding on to those toxins, and our body's super protective in how it holds on to toxins in the first place. So if we're trying to get rid of them, it's a really good idea to actually make sure that they see their way through the process and get totally out. Okay, so teas and super hydration is one way to overcome that constipation. Okay, and just eating right. Eat your beans, eat your broccoli when we are eating. Get things that have natural fiber in it that help that, because what happens when we eat is we eat fiber and then we drink water, and that's what helps our intestines swell, and then they bounce back, and that's what's going to help our poop, our feces, make its way through the body. So adrenal fatigue is the other challenge. When we're not producing enough stress hormone in relation to the positive stress that our body is being put under, then that can cause adrenal fatigue. So we can take care of that by lowering the amount of stress hormones, or by allowing us to get the correct minerals and supplementation in our body to make good sources of that hormone naturally. So one big thing is the vitamins and the minerals. Make sure we're getting our greens, like I mentioned, the broccoli, the greens, the cauliflower. It's not green, but it's a huge powerhouse. Another thing, if we're going to be supplementing, I take my vitamins every single day, and I'm a huge fan of them. And it's literally, I replaced all of my vitamins and minerals with just my brand that I choose. But in any case, magnesium supplementation is super important. Magnesium is arguably the most important mineral in the body. It's used in over 300 processes, and so we can see when we're just taking one thing in the correct amounts how it's going to positively affect the ability to make and get rid of the stress hormones in our gut and the inflammation in our gut that can cause adrenal fatigue. And it can also help with the other processes that help naturally make stress hormones on the other end of that to help prevent the adrenal fatigue, so our adrenals aren't being spent unnecessary and using unnecessary energy on the rest of our body. So unless you guys are pregnant, or unless you guys are under 8 or 9 months, a simple fast is a really, really good way to start implementing your way into fasting. So I know this one was kind of a long one. There's a lot of information to cover. You see I'm full of energy up here. I'm on minimal sleep. I've tapped into ketosis. I've stopped using glucose and sugar, and I'm started using ketones. And another way to put that is I'm getting 18 times the amount of energy from my natural food storages. And you guys are probably like, B-Rad, you don't have any fat till you lose anyways. And you know what little fat I do have is being burnt, and I'm being left with just my muscle tone, and that's an amazing feeling knowing that I'm clearing out that waste. Because as skinny as I am, I tell people I'm lean. I'm not skinny, you know. And my family calls me skinny, and I say, guys, I'm gaining weight. I'm gaining weight. My sister said to me the other day, she said, you've been saying that for the last damn 6 years, and it's true though. So fasting allows us to tap into that natural storages, and it does not take away from the muscle tone in our body. So it's super energizing. The mental clarity, we get rid of the toxicity. So when I do start reintroducing a normal diet, after a month, I fast for a month at a time every year, and you just feel like a whole new person. I consider this my new year, my resolution to myself. So as always, protect yourselves. Now we know some extra ways to protect ourselves and what's really doing on a macro level, right? What's doing on the inside, the outside. And here's some quick tips you guys can do to some actionable things you guys can start today. And I hope you guys choose the right fast that's right for you and your family, and start putting it into your bodies. Start getting it into your routine, and that's the best way. If we look at things as not a daunting task, but just part of our routine. And it's not a daily routine, but it's a yearly routine for me. And when I'm not on, I do some intermittent fasting too, and some of these other types of cycles that I mentioned throughout the year to kind of keep up with that, so that I can tap into that ketosis when I want to, not just when I need to and I'm feeling sluggish. So an excellent way to keep up your health, keep the optimum levels, and allow us to be stronger, live better, and do better. And who doesn't want that for us, and who doesn't want that for our family? So see you guys on the next one, and hope you guys are doing well. Stay well.